So for the final time, the Britcover BRSCC National Formula 4 Championship is heading out on track. So for the final time, Scott, they're all yours.
Thanks, Anthony. Here's the reverse grid for race 3. It's David MacArthur and James Scott Murphy on the front row of the grid, ahead of Keith Donegan and Neil McLennan. Then Luke Williams and Ross Martin, ahead of Jamie Thorburn and Josh Smith on row 4. Row 5 is Noel Robinson and Michael Eastwell, then Tom MacArthur and John Ferguson. Luke Cooper and Matt Round-Garrido ahead of Jack Wolfenden and Andrew Blair on row 8. Row 9 is Miles Griffiths and Ryan Campbell, then Jamesy Hagan and Nicky Gibson, Ben Palaboda and Ian McCullough, and then Mark de Rosario and Ivor Mayers on row 12, with row 13 all by themselves. Jordan Dempsey and James Rowe Jr. wants to watch from the back of the grid. So an amazing weekend at Kirkistown is about to come to a close with one more 15-minute encounter here at Kirkistown. The 5-second ball goes up. It is David MacArthur and James Scott Murphy on the front row of the grid. Who's going to get the whole shot down towards turn 1? Red lights up, revs rise, and we are racing for the final time here in Northern Ireland. Good start from Luke Cooper, picking his way through the traffic. He's alongside John Ferguson and also Michael Eastwell on the inside. Chasing after, I think that is possibly Tom MacArthur. Here's Jordan Dempsey chasing from the back of the field, trying to pick his way through the field, down towards Colonial, and that is Josh Smith! Josh has put a big moment off on the grass, up at Colonial, and he's made contact with James Scott Murphy and also Luke Cooper. Oh, Josh Smith's car stranded in the middle of a track, broken left rear suspension, tries to spin the wheels and finds out he hasn't got any left. Leaders out of the Fisherman's Bend, and Luke Cooper's off as well, and look at the front left. One of his steering arms is off, and that's major damage, so I wonder if he can get that car back to the pits or if that is his race over. So drama here on the opening lap of the third race at Kirkistown, on board with Jamie Thorburn as the leaders pile down towards the hairpin for the first time. It is Donegan on the inside for second place on David MacArthur. Neil McLennan leads, then Luke Williams in fourth place, and the arms are out of the cockpit, so I suspect possibly the safety car has been called. And indeed it has. Waved yellow flags, the safety car boards are out, which means everyone has to bunch up single file, then start to weave from side to side to keep heat in the tyres after what was a very extreme opening lap as we go on board with Jordan Dempsey. He's made up a few places from starting at the back of the field. Good getaway from him and from James Rowe Jr. as they head onto the pit straight now under safety car conditions. So the field will now bunch up together. There is the sorry looking car of James Scott Murphy. He's looking at what could have been. And Neil McLennan, race leader, has caught the safety car and is slowing down to a crawl. Reason being because of the sight in front of him. That is Josh Smith's very broken Furman race car. The left rear suspension completely torn off. Tried to spin the wheels and found out there wasn't actually any car there. And Neil McLennan looking across, just obviously with concern, hoping that all drivers involved are okay. It does look as though all drivers involved have got away from the incident, at least unscathed. As he starts to weave from side to side to keep some heat into the Avon tyres. Comes at Fisherman's, and then the safety car starts to slow down a little bit to allow Neil McLennan to catch up. So let's take stock of where everyone is then. So McLennan leads. David MacArthur has maintained his position from the front row of the grid. Keith Donegan is up to third. Then Luke Williams fourth. Ross Martin is in P5. In the red car with the black graphics on the nose. Into the John Crossley chicane. David MacArthur with a superb start, taking advantage of his front row position to remain at the head of the field. Then Jamie Thorburn's in the mix. I think also so is Tom MacArthur. This is Luke Cooper, who's managed to make it back to the pits, and his team are working well on the front left of the Swift Cooper, which means that I think possibly they're going to try and aim to get him back out of into the race. That said, when they're all stacked behind the safety car, I'd imagine they possibly do have just about enough time, but it might be either a quick fix or something that's a little bit more substantial. So the field bunching up on the back straight, weaving from side to side to keep temperature and tyre pressures into the tyres and brakes. Keeping the brakes warm as the low loader picks up the remnants of what's left of the Furman chassis of Josh Smith. He's had a bit of up and down luck this year, and unfortunately this is one of those down moments where it hasn't really worked out for him. We didn't see the initial contact, or if there was contact, or the initial start of what happened to Josh Smith, but all we saw from Jamie Thorburn's view was a car spinning across the front of him, across the grass, and then he tagged the rear of James Scott Murphy's car, and then Luke Cooper was almost an innocent bystander also, left with nowhere to go, and that broke one of the steering arms by the looks of things. He didn't completely take the wheel off as the Swift Cooper team continued to work away on Luke Cooper's car. There may be a chance he could get him back out, depending on how long it takes to recover the stricken cars. But it takes us a moment to give stock here. Neil McLennan will be hopeful of getting himself another victory. David MacArthur could secure one of his best results of the season, as could Keith Donegan. Good to see him in the field. He's one of the very talented young Irish drivers here this weekend, as with some of the regular national drivers. And a couple of the cars stacking up. And also the green car there's James Rowe Jr. He's been fighting up the order. There, just a couple of cars back is Jordan Dempsey. Matt Round Garrido's in there too. And towards the back of the field, some of the regular runners. And there, 316 is the ever-present Ivor Mares. He may not be the fastest, but he's certainly consistent and certainly knows how to gain experience. And he's one of our clubman drivers that loves Formula Ford racing. I think that James Scott Murphy might have different thoughts to that right now. So Jordan Dempsey then, wave down the pack. We're looking at Neil McLennan as he's over the curbs. That's an interesting tyre warming technique. Putting full lock-to-lock here, keeping all that temperature in the tyres. And Formula 4 tyres are more durable than you think, so they can take some abuse. The fact that they're skinny and low grip, it just adds to the challenge of mastering a Formula Ford. It's one of those, still those classic proving grounds for young drivers or just experienced drivers looking for a challenge, or veterans of the category. They're relatively okay to get a handle on initially, but to master a Formula Ford could take you an entire lifetime if you're not careful. And Jordan Dempsey on board with him, stuck in the pack between some of the Clubman pre-90 cars, and just ahead of that car in front of that was directly ahead of him, that was James Rowe Jr., his back row partner, after the two made contact at the start of race 2, and that caused damage to the right front of Jordan Dempsey's car, which of course was repaired by the team in between races. And then James Rowe Jr. was on course for a victory here in what could be classed as, in a way, his home race. And then the left rear suspension just completely collapsed, and that in turn saw him spin out of the race. There's James Rowe Jr. flashing past. There's Jordan Dempsey, just ahead of Matt Round Garrido. And then plenty of the regular Northern Irish Formula Ford runners. Safety car continuing to bunch the field up here at Kirkistown. And this is a round which encompasses the triple... There's the Triple Crown, which encompasses Brands Hatch, Donington and Silverstone, but this is part of the Tourist Trophy. It's a new internal championship within the National Series, and it encompasses circuits on all 4 corners of the United Kingdom. So it started at Alton Park, then we went to Knock Hill in Scotland, then we have, of course, here in Northern Ireland at Kirkistown, and it'll be the final round of a National Championship at Anglesey, which will see the final Tourist Trophy rounds decided also. So it's sort of internal, sort of regional championships for those who want to contest the national, but may not have the full budget or the capability to get to all the circuits on the calendar. So there's also the Triple Crown, which is for more the Midlands drivers. And there is, of course, the ever-popular Northern Championship, not part of a national. It's its own separate entity, and it does encompass Anglesey and Alton Park. Now, I think the lights are off on the safety car, which means after a couple of laps of recovery, we can get back to racing here at Kirkistown for the 3rd Britcover National Formula Ford 1600 Championship race with Avon tyres. So the field bunching up, the safety car lights are indeed off, so the process is here to remind you, Neil McLennan effectively becomes the safety car. He controls the pace, he bunches the field up again into one large pack, and effectively he decides when he wants to take the restart, so he will put his foot down when he deems it's appropriate. So he's now just closing everyone up now, looking for the chance to put his foot down. He'll try and get them on the jump here. As Luke Cooper's team, incredibly, they fixed the left front of the car. That's incredible work from his pit crew, and Luke Cooper will be a couple of laps down, but he will rejoin this race and try and salvage something. So what's going to be key is actually he's heading out as the leaders are starting to restart the race. Neil McLennan puts his foot down as the leaders come up towards the line, take the green flag, and racing at Kirkistown is back underway for race 3. Past the pits, up towards Debtors Dip for the first time again under racing conditions. There is Luke Cooper. And now here come the national leaders. It's McLennan leading. It's still MacArthur in 2nd place. Donegan was looking pretty feisty for 3rd. This is the view from Neil McLennan, and the car in front, that is Luke Cooper recovering out of the pits. So the question is going to be, what kind of a catalyst, if at all, will Neil McLennan be in terms of trying to get past Luke Cooper? So now looking here, Keith Donegan's got past David MacArthur for 2nd place. He's under attack for 3rd now by the likes of Luke Williams, Ross Martin, and also Jamie Thorburn. Tom MacArthur still in the mix there. This is on board with Jamie Thorburn. Luke Williams immediately in front of him, trying to go to the inside. Ross Martin, in fact, actually, my apologies, because Luke Williams has got more pressing matters trying to get past David MacArthur around the outside. Thorburn locks up, clips the back of David MacArthur's car, loses his front nose section. He's hanging off the car. I think he did that at Donington Park, and also again at Brands Hatch, so he seems to be averse to keeping the nose of his car on him. Jamie Thorburn in the slipstream of Ross Martin now as they turn their way through the left-hander at Debtors Dip. Williams up to 4th, and that now means that it is David MacArthur under pressure from Ross Martin. And he's on board with Neil McLennan now. He's still chasing after Luke Cooper, and credit where credit's due to the Swift Cooper team, because Luke Cooper's car is practically running at the same pace as leader Neil McLennan. That's pretty incredible. I'm pretty sure he'll get the blue flags sooner rather than later. As we see Jamie Thorburn's number 50 car is still going. If you look clearly, if his helmet comes out of the way, you'll be able to see that front row section is still hanging off number 50 as he watches the battle between Ross Martin and David MacArthur up towards the hairpin. McLennan still leads, Donegan in 2nd place, Williams up to 3rd. McLennan has to go defensive on the inside, but he may be vulnerable on the exit for Ross Martin as he attacks onto the pit straight. Jamie Thorburn, plus he's hanging off nose cone, he's keeping close. As Neil McLennan just gives Luke Cooper a friendly wave. He gets out of the way of the leaders. Both McLennan and Donegan have made it through. And next person to try and get past is going to have to be Luke Williams. And I have to say, look at Keith Donegan. Now he's cleared the back marker. He's now right on the gearbox of Neil McLennan and looking for a victory here. Of course, this is only one of his first weekends in the championship, and he really is making an impact here at Kirkistown. Luke Cooper, big oversteer moment on the exit of Fisherman's. Car seems to be working pretty well so far after the repair. Just hammering over the chicane. Luke Williams a little bit wide on the exit. He's pushing pretty hard, as is Jamie Thorburn. And still that nose section will not leave the car. It's hanging up, and I'm pretty sure that's going to attract the stewards. They give him a black and orange flag. You can see it hanging off. Look at the car in the background with the white nose cone just sticking vertically, and it's hampering him severely because Michael Eastwell was making a move up the inside. Meanwhile, Keith Donegan is telling Neil McLennan to go. He's pointing at him saying, go faster, Neil. We can pull away from the leaders now. Jamie Thorburn has lost the place to Michael Eastwell, looking back to try and get past him again. Moving this way and that, but nothing doing. But Keith Donegan is trying to give Neil McLennan the hurry up, quite literally. He was gesticulating at him to put his foot down, because incredibly, Luke Cooper is not dropping away from them. Yes, he's a couple of laps down, but he can match the leader's pace. That's pretty incredible, and effectively he's within his rights to outlap himself as well. If he can unlap himself, that would be pretty extraordinary. Now then, change for 3rd, because Ross Martin has got past Luke Williams somewhere. He didn't spot that off camera. And David MacArthur in the mix, who's then got Michael Eastwell holding onto P6. Luke Cooper is in the slipstream of the top 2. He's looking to try and get himself unlapped here as Donegan looks to the outside, but McLennan defends, under braking for the hairpin. And Tom MacArthur is now looking up the inside. He's the next person to put Jamie Thorburn at down one position. So the leaders down the pit straight, back on board with Luke Cooper. He's got a prime front row seat here to watch the front row antics between Neil McLennan and Keith Donegan. You could almost get the popcorn out at this point and watch these two scrap away as Donegan looks to the wider line into Colonial. But a slightly wider run on the exit from McLennan won't help him. Neither will Donegan's better run off the corner. Back with Jamie Thorburn, and still the front nose section is hanging on. Surely he has to be given a black and orange flag at some point. It's flapping around in front of him. That must be so distracting whilst he's trying to keep up with Tom MacArthur, and it won't be doing his aero any good either. Over the chicane, now down towards the hairpin once more. Trying to make a move at some point, and Luke Cooper pointing, saying, go past me. I'm down a lap. I'm not going to hold you up any time, and he does. That's smart driving from Luke. Well done. Meanwhile, the leaders are side by side into the hairpin. McLennan moves across to try and fend off Donegan as they head into the hairpin. Donegan will try and attack on the exit. It's almost side by side as they come down the pit straight. It is side by side on the run. There's a black and white flag going out for somebody. I can't see who it is, but down towards Debtors Dip, it is wheel to wheel between the leaders. The rest of the field flashes through, but McLennan's holding in front of him as well. Donegan possibly looking to the inside. Has to go back to the middle of the circuit because there's no room at the inn. And now look behind them because Ross Martin goes wide into the exit of Colonial. That now puts him on the back foot and under attack from Williams. What an incredible way to end the weekend here at Kirkistown. Race 3 is on absolute fire at the moment. So, battles galore for 1st and 3rd. David MacArthur in one of his best results of the season so far. He's looking at P5, but he's under threat from, I think that's still Luke Cooper between 5th and 6th position. This is Luke Cooper's on board, looking at the back of David MacArthur. Now behind him is Michael Eastwell, and they're all lapping either mares now, as again they're side by side for the lead. Donegan again looking for the outside line, but McLennan cannot defend that inside quick enough because they come onto the pit straight again. Martin and Williams are lurking large in their rearview mirrors. Down the pit straight, onto another lap. McLennan with clear track in front of him at the moment, but there will be back markers around, and that could be a key factor. Donegan tucked underneath the 25's gearbox. Into Colonial again. Martin and Williams are right there to capitalise if any mistake comes from either one of them. Back and forth with Jamie Thorburn, and he's even been passed by James Rowe Jr. now. Remember, James Rowe Jr. started at the back of the field, and he's charged up into the top 10. That is a sensational drive from the number 2. Young Irishman fired up after his race 2 retirement so late on in the race. Missing out on the victory, certainly seeing the red mist descend, and he really is charging after the leaders as quick as he can. Now then, leaders, as we speak, are up towards the hairpin. McLennan's there, but so is Ross Martin, so is Donegan. Donegan back to the outside for the 3rd time of asking, but still, McLennan will not give way as they come out of the hairpin onto the pit straight to complete another lap, and the last lap board has gone out. So one final time around the 1.5 mile Kirkistown circuit. It's been an incredible weekend of racing for the National Championship, and with one more lap to go, Donegan with one last chance. Williams to the outside of Martin for 3rd place. Can he get the move done? Yes! Luke Williams with a crucial outside pass on Ross Martin for 3rd place. Superb effort from a 95. You can tell he still wants to be in contention for the championship. But Neil McLennan looking for his first victory in a while. He won at Knock Hill. He's also won at Alton Park. He wants to try and get a win here at Kirkistown to end it. And Luke Williams is really on the charge. He's passed Ross Martin, and now on the last lap could even take 2nd place from Keith Donegan. McLennan keeping to the inside line, down towards the hairpin for the final time, going defensive. Donegan running out of options. He's got Williams to his outside into the hairpin, under brakes. Donegan locks up. Williams looks for the cutback. That battle will go onto the flag, but Neil McLennan will leave Kirkistown with a very coveted victory up towards the line. Checkered flag, he punches the air into light. He's number 1. McLennan wins. Donegan just holds 2nd. Williams takes a sensational 3rd on the last lap with Ross Martin 4th. Rest of the top 10 flashes past, and here is that top 10. McLennan wins, Donegan 2nd, Williams 3rd, then Martin, Eastwell, the MacArthurs, David and Tom, then James Rowe Jr., Jamie Thorburn and Jack Wolforden, and incredibly Luke Cooper, fastest lap of the race. Jordan Dempsey 11th, then round Garrido, Campbell, Griffiths, Ferguson, Robinson, Blair, Powervoda, Hagan and Gibson round out the top 20, with McCullough, De Rosario, Mares and Luke Cooper a couple of laps down but still 24th. Wow, what a weekend. And here is the last top 3 on the podium with Anthony down in the paddock.
Well, Neil, maximum points in the final race towards your championship challenge. Don't think you're quite back up in the leads yet, but have you enjoyed your weekend here at Kirkistown?
Yeah, really enjoyed my weekend. Great track, some great racing from the start, so no, absolutely enjoyed it. A 2nd and a 4th and a 1st, so no, absolutely delighted, and taking home good points as well. So we're starting to climb back up to the top, but we're getting there.
Good, and when you went out there doing our 3 races this weekend, no doubt you've watched the 2 Northern Irish races as well.
Yeah, the 2 Northern Irish races were really good to watch. Niall and the rest of the boys had some close racing, so no, it's been really good. Really enjoyed the weekend.